The word tariff is back in the headlines. On May 23, 2025, Trump threatened a 50% tariff on all European imports, yes, as if America was bored and wanted a sequel to the China trade war. Because last time, Trump claimed China would pay the price. But is that what really happened? Who really paid the price? And did it even work? In this video, we're breaking down what a tariff really is, what Trump actually did beyond the headlines, who ended up paying the real cost, whether tariffs actually fix anything, and why the hell are we still talking about tariffs in 2025? Let's unpack the truth behind Trump's tariff tactics and the real price of playing trade war. Section 1. What is a tariff, really? A tariff is a tax, but it's not one you pay at the store or on your income. It's a tax the government puts on goods coming into the country from other countries. Imagine you're browsing Amazon for wireless earbuds. You find a US brand priced at $100. Then you spot a similar pair from a Chinese brand for $70, same features, great reviews. Naturally, you go for the cheaper option. But here's where the US government steps in. They slap a $40 tariff on those Chinese earbuds. That $70 pair now costs $110, more than the American one. On paper, this seems beneficial for the US. US companies can compete more effectively. The government collects revenue. Domestic jobs might be protected. But here's the catch. You, the consumer, now have fewer affordable options. Even if the Chinese earbuds suited your budget better, they're no longer cheaper. And if the US brand faces less competition, there's less incentive to innovate or lower prices. So while tariffs aim to protect local industries, they often result in higher prices and fewer choices. And that brings us to Trump's trade war. Section 2. What Trump actually did. In 2018, President Trump launched a trade war with China. He said China was taking advantage of the US, stealing jobs, copying American products, and flooding the market with cheap goods. So he used something called a Section 301 investigation to justify slapping tariffs on over $350 billion worth of Chinese goods. Did China sit quietly? Absolutely not. They retaliate with tariffs on US exports, soybeans, cars, whiskey. What started as economic chess became a boxing match, each side hitting harder. US farmers got crushed when China stopped buying soybeans. Tech companies saw costs spike for Chinese components. Even furniture and toys saw price hikes. While Trump promised it would bring jobs back, many companies either raised prices or ate the cost. Supply chains got creative. Many companies rerouted manufacturing through Vietnam, Mexico, or simply relabeled Chinese goods to dodge tariffs. And the biggest twist? American importers, retailers, and consumers ended up footing most of the bill. But Trump kept saying, "Don't worry, China's paying for it." But is that what really happened? Section 3. Who really paid the price? Let's go back to the earbuds. If the US slaps a $40 tariff on Chinese earbuds, does China send the US $40 every time one is sold? No. That $40 is paid by the US company importing the earbuds. And that importer usually passes that cost to retailers. And then retailers? They pass it to you. Study after study backed this up. The National Bureau of Economic Research found that over 90% of the cost of Trump's tariffs were paid by American companies and consumers. And it wasn't just earbuds. It's the same story with bike parts, kitchen gadgets, and even gaming chairs. That cheaper foreign option gets taxed, and suddenly your $120 chair becomes $160. So tariffs aren't some kind of check from China. It's a tax on US businesses and shoppers. And small businesses were hit the hardest. Unlike giants like Walmart or Apple, they couldn't negotiate discounts or absorb losses. Some had to lay off workers or shut down entirely. Meanwhile, inflation was already eating away at purchasing power. Tariffs just poured fuel on the fire. But hey, at least tariffs fix trade problems, right? Not exactly. Section 4. Do tariffs actually work? Let's break down what tariffs are supposed to do. Protect local industries. Fix unfair trade. Pressure foreign countries to behave. Sounds noble. But here's the problem. We live in a globalized world. Many US products are made with foreign parts, often from China. Put a tariff on Chinese components, and suddenly making a made-in-USA laptop gets more expensive. Plus, retaliation is real. China didn't just sit back. They targeted US farmers, cutting off billions in exports. That led to bailouts and government aid to struggling farmers. Harley-Davidson, the classic American motorcycle brand, moved some production overseas to avoid retaliatory tariffs from the EU. Yes, tariffs meant to protect American companies pushed an iconic one to expand abroad. So do tariffs ever work? Sometimes. They can protect young industries, if done with care. They can be useful negotiation tools, if part of a bigger strategy. But long-term, they often create what economists call deadweight loss. That's a fancy way of saying everyone loses a little, and no one really wins. So keeping this in mind, the real winner of the US-China trade war was Vietnam. While two economic giants duked it out, Vietnam quietly became a top supplier of electronics, textiles, and furniture to the US. American companies shifted supply chains there. Chinese companies set up factories there. Tariffs were supposed to bring jobs home. Instead, they brought them to Hanoi. That's geopolitics for you. Sometimes the referee ends up scoring the goal. Which brings us to today. Section 5. Why are we still talking about this in 2025? Just when things started cooling down, Trump's back, and so are tariffs. On May 23, 2025, he threatened a 50% tariff on all EU imports. That's cars, clothes, food, you name it. Why? He claims Europe's taking advantage of the US, and this is how he'll fix it. But it's déjà vu all over again. The EU is threatening retaliation. American exporters are bracing. Interest rates are high. Another trade war now could spell disaster. If the EU retaliates, we could see tariffs on US goods like corn and soybeans, cars, tech products. This could ripple through grocery stores, gas stations, Amazon carts. But here's the political angle. Tariffs make for easy campaign slogans. They're visible actions, but their costs? Quiet, delayed, invisible. They feel good to voters. We're standing up to foreign bullies. But in reality, they often just pass the pain along to the people cheering. Welcome to Trade War 2.0. Conclusion: the real price of playing trade war. Tariffs aren't just about economics. They're about power, politics, and perception. Yes, in narrow cases, they can help. But more often they raise prices, spark retaliation, slow down global trade. And when politicians say, we're making the other side pay, always ask, are they really? Because most of the time, the cost quietly lands in your lap. So next time you hear tariff, don't tune out. That little word could be why your next phone costs $100 more, or why your favorite snacks vanish from the shelves. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more no BS explainers about how money and power really work.